Where the body remembers the truth about trauma stored in the womb, focusing on specifically as women, as feminine beings, how that trauma is stored in our womb spaces. We go throughout our lives without understanding the connection between what is being stored in the womb and how that is physically being presented to us in our health, in our womb health, in our connection to our sexuality, in our connection to our sensual essence, in our ability to feel safe and at home in our bodies. My name is Divina. So there's a trigger warning. I'm going to go ahead and say that before I share about my story. From 10 to 25 years old, I had the same exact dream. And I would have this dream repeatedly throughout the years until I was about 25. I kind of just tucked it away because I wasn't ready to look at it or deal with it or feel it. In my late 20s, around like 28, was when I started to discover tools that helped me to understand that the dream that I'd had for 15 years was actually a memory that was trapped in my psyche. So it was a memory that kept coming up in the form of a dream. And the memory was of abuse as a young girl. This was life-changing for me. This acknowledgement and then being able to tend to what it was that was stored in my womb. How was that showing up in my life? In my mid-20s, I had ovarian cysts. I was diagnosed with ovarian cysts that were about 4, that were the size of a golf ball. At one point, one of them actually ruptured during intercourse. I was told that the only thing that I could do was have surgery to get them cut out or take prescription pills. By the time I was like 24, I was only having my periods twice a year. I was also told that to regulate, I needed to get on birth control. So my body, my womb, was giving me all these signs that there was something there. The physical signs were the cysts and the periods, and the emotional and energetic sides were a complete disconnect from my sexual energy. I only touched or spoke about or looked at my vulva when somebody else was interested in it. There was no relationship, there was no connection, there was shame, there was fear. I had no idea that all of these dots were connected and were drawing a bigger picture that were asking for my attention. What we're sharing here and the work that I do is because I have seen in my own life in real time how these tools, how the connection between spirituality, energetics, emotions, herbal support, ritual can change your life. I know because I was there. So many things were unlocked once I took the time to look at and acknowledge what was being stored versus putting a band-aid on it. How does energy work? So everything in the world is energy, and there's science to back this. I'm not a scientist, I'm a deeply spiritual woman, so my explanation of this will be from a spiritual point of view. All of our emotions, all of our memories, all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, all of our experiences are actually forms of energy. When we have a traumatic experience, a difficult experience that feels difficult for us, that energy gets trapped in the body. If we look at ancient Chinese medicine or ancient India or ancient Mayan and Aztec practices, the body is like a river and the energy needs to flow. So when something difficult happens and that energy gets trapped somewhere in the body, it creates a blockage. It's like throwing a big ass boulder in the middle of a river. Now the energy is not flowing. Now one side of the river is drying up and all of the fish are dying, and the other side, all of the plants and ecosystem on the riverbank are being drowned and flooded because there's too much water. It causes great imbalance. It's the process of like looking at the boulder and being like, holy shit, that was a really intense thing that happened to me. Let me look at this. Let me sit with this. Let me acknowledge this. Let me feel the heaviness of this thing. And then it will begin to dissolve so that the energy can start to flow again. What we need as human beings to function at our highest level is for there to be equilibrium in the body so that we can flow and function at our highest level. What is trauma? Trauma is different for every single person. Trauma can look many different ways. It can be the trauma of giving birth as a woman, giving birth to your child and not having your voice have been heard in the hospital room. Trauma can be abuse. Trauma can be being in a committed relationship with someone and saying yes when we really mean no, and allowing someone to enter into our bodies when our womb was like, no, I don't actually want this. But our throats weren't able to express it. Another one is going to your OBGYN. It can be forceful, not present with the body, not present with the vagina of her opening to receive this tool. All of these things that happen, we're just told are normal. The trauma creates energetic blockages in the body. So what does that look like when there is a blockage? This is what I call womb disconnect. A big one is intuition block. I meet and work with a lot of women who feel so disconnected from their intuition. And what is intuition? Intuition is the knowing of the body, and the seed of the intuition lives in the womb. Imagine if there's a blockage, a big rock in the energetic space of the womb, if there's numbness, if there's pain, that is where our intuition comes from. Another layer of that is that, especially in the West, we're taught to think and move in a masculine world. The masculine moves from the mind. The feminine moves from the body. The feminine is intuitive. The masculine is thinking. How do I do this thing? How do I stop the lion from eating my family? The feminine is, I feel like it's going to rain today because I can feel the mist in the air and I can see the clouds and okay, I feel that this is going to happen. I feel this in my body. So when there's a disconnect from that feeling, this is often a sign of womb disconnect. When a woman feels like she can't listen to her intuition, or the voice is really low, or she doesn't trust the voice or the gut feeling. All of that is linked to our intuition. Another one is irregular menstrual cycles. And I'm going to skip almost to the bottom. Painful bleeds kind of go to hand in hand. Irregular cycles where you're bleeding less than 25 or more than 30 days. And then that like super painful bleeds, super heavy bleeds. Your period shouldn't be painful. Also, intergenerational trauma that's passed down in the womb. When our mothers were a fetus in our grandmothers, we were present as eggs in her body. A lot of times when I see clients that have really irregular cycles, they have a maternal lineage of women who have had hysterectomies, of women that have been assaulted, and that affects the energy of the womb, because that is a thread that comes with us into this life that we're born with. Lack of pleasure is another really big one. Numbness, inability to experience pleasure, to have an orgasm, to experience your sensuality, to enjoy your own sexual energy apart from a relationship and also in a relationship. Are you able to connect to this part of yourself so that you can share genuinely with someone that you care about? Emotional unrest, really dysregulated hormones. Our hormones as women affect everything. They affect our mood, they affect our energy levels, they affect our everything, our whole world. Our hormones change, but we shouldn't be experiencing this roller coaster of emotions on a daily basis. These are all signs that something is here for us to look at. And then the last one is dis-ease, ovarian cyst, thyroid issues, vaginismus, a list of diagnoses that women get. pain that's unexplainable, and they're being diagnosed and told to take out their uterus and have a full hysterectomy or a whole or a partial hysterectomy. So these are all ways that our wombs are telling us, hey, this needs your attention. 3-step process of recognizing, releasing, and renewing. Recognizing the signs and symptoms that I was experiencing were actually my womb trying to communicate to me. They were not an end all be all sentence of what the rest of my life was going to look like. Our wombs are so intelligent. Our wombs are connected directly to source, the source of life. Release is the second step. And so there's many different ways and tools to do this work. Nervous system regulation, breath work, all can help. Somatic practices all can help with trapped emotions, memories, trauma, and stagnant energy that gets stored in the womb. And then renew. Now we've swept the floors, we've swept the cobwebs, we've cleaned the room. What do we actually want to be there? How can we reconnect, call in our intuition, our power, our life's purpose? How can we discover what we're actually here to do in the world? All of these seeds live in the womb. So this is the renewal. This part is so beautiful because it's a rediscovering, a reconnecting of this powerhouse, this center of power that exists within us that before was holding so much that we couldn't even really touch the power because it was holding so much pain and memories and trauma and sadness. But like, once we begin to do that work of seeing what's there lovingly, releasing what no longer serves us, and making space for the renewal, it's incredibly powerful work. And it starts with the womb, but it literally will expand into every other area of your life because it affects your confidence, it affects your intuition, it affects the way that you're able to show up in the world. What is your womb actually telling you? How can you listen to what she's telling you and give her the support that she needs?
I'm Melanie. I am community herbalist, and Kava is a really great ally for anyone who is moving through trauma, anybody who is moving through abuse, anyone who is just moving through tension that is just stuck in the body that is caused by emotions or a freeze state that our body has been in for such a long time. We may not know it. Maybe we have a lot of anxiety with certain areas. Maybe that's affecting how we socialize, how we are intimate with ourselves or with our partners. Insomnia, trauma can show up differently in our lives. A little bit about the plants is it's native to the South Pacific Islands. It is an at-risk plant, so when you are looking for this plant, it's best to use cultivated strains. This plant is so helpful because it's acting on different parts of our brain. Some qualities of this plant is it's warming, it's relaxing, and stimulating. And when we want to support the womb, we want to support the uterus, we want to bring heat to that area. We also want to have it relax and then stimulating too. So blood flow. So warming the womb at the same time while stimulating blood flow is going to be really helpful for kind of activating, but then also relaxing that area of the body. Some qualities about kava is it's great for relaxing, calming and relaxing the mind, body, and spirit. And through this process, it's helping break down barriers. So traditionally, we find this plant being used to enhance connection and communication. So helping lubricate our social skills or how we are connecting with people. So breaking down those barriers, putting our body in a relaxed state and reducing the anxiety, calming the body so we can open ourselves up and feel safe. Is a great plant for intimacy. This can be a really helpful plant in helping build a connection with your partner. The compounds in kava, which is why people love kava, is cavalactones, and they are going to act on GABA, glutamine, and serotonin. They inhibit the degradation of different neurotransmitters, meaning that's going to increase norepinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine. These are the three neurotransmitters that cavalactones will act on from the inhibition of MAO, which is just an enzyme that breaks down neurotransmitters. It also increases noradrenaline, which is going to improve cognition, improve how we're processing things. And it's also going to influence parts of the brain that are linked to how fear and patterns are learned and social interactions and sleep. Another great quality about kava is that it relieves pain. When we find trauma in the body, can also show up as pain within the uterus, within our womb, even during intercourse. Working with kava as a plant, it relieves pain and it relaxes tension. You can work with it topically and internally, which is a great combination. So you can even apply it to lower parts of your abdomen if you wanted to create a ritual, getting to know yourself and exploring yourself. Having a lovely kava body oil topical with a kava tea can be a really great ritual in combination for just relaxing your body and easing the tension.
I love so much this combination of what we've created with Blood and Botanicals. The powerhouse of healing that happens when we work with the energetic body, when we work with the tissues, when we work with the spiritual connection combined with the power of the plants.